Hello out there, my name is Laolu Akonde and you are on to Inside Sources. Here is my take for today and it is entitled Policy Tips President Tinubu Can Still Adopt 2 years After, Part 1. On Friday, we started a series here on Inside Sources focusing on the first 2 years of the Tinubu presidency, which falls exactly due next week Thursday, May 29. In continuation of that, we serve today a number of well-considered policy options and ideas that can transform the work of the Tinubu administration and significantly put Nigeria in the right trajectory irreversibly and promptly. They are packaged in 6 broad categories. Number 1, security. Number 2, poverty alleviation. Number 3, energy. Number 4, productivity. Number 5, human capital development. And number 6, governance issues. Let us start with security. Our inabilities to significantly increase the numbers of boots on the ground, both in the military and the police, is a serious limitation to our ability as a country to cure the serious problems of insecurity in our country. Now, the president must take decisive steps to deliver the ramping up of the numbers. Also, state police or a decentralization of the police away from one command center in Abuja is now long overdue. While the president is known to support the idea of state police, he can be more bullish about it so that it can actually get started. Time is of the essence. Also, at this point, still on security, with the resurgence of terrorism in the northeast, amid all the other calamities caused by insecurity in several parts of the country, the president should lay all options on the table, including the use of non-conventional fighting groups. Former President Goodluck Jonathan adopted such effectively ahead of the 2015 elections. Now we come to poverty alleviation. We don't have to be told or reminded about the crushing levels of poverty in the country, with the figures projected to rise in coming years, according to the World Bank, to over 50% of our population. The least the Tinubu administration can do is to demonstrate an active concern, showcasing its compassion and its resolve to attack poverty. This hasn't happened in a proper manner as yet. For instance, a good idea is the social investment programs which were implemented in this country to local, national, and international acclaim between 2016 and 2019. That should be restored and reinvigorated. We all saw the success of the programs before the rot was introduced right after 2019. So we have done it before commendably in this country. We had the National Homegrown School Feeding Program, Empower, Trader Money and others, and the conditional cash transfer, and those were so well done. The Tinubu administration can take the good success of the program, especially in 2016 to 2019, and even do it better. This is possible, and Mr. President, it is an imperative. We come to energy. No nation in global history has ever risen or grown economically without a rise in effective energy utility. Nigeria cannot be an exception, so we must crack the debilitating obstacles of electricity supply in Nigeria. We must deal with that problem. First, we should ask, what is happening with the Siemens initiative? It seems President Tinubu managed to move it forward quite a bit, but speeding things up significantly by every means possible is now of the highest priority. The Siemens project is critical to the efficiency of the transmission component of the power sector, and we have been on it for a while. It is time to speed things up and get it done with. Then, we need to implement the idea of mini-grids quickly as part of efforts to overcome the serious problems of transmission. The national grid has to be a backup to a number of other mini-grids across the country, like it is done in the United States and India. We should no longer depend on a sole national grid because it is failing us, and it is failing us very badly. Also, crucially, we must urgently facilitate the emergence of integrated power companies that will be able on their own to generate and distribute electricity in specific localities and regions in this country. The new Electricity Act, which enables states to delve fully into the power sector, is revolutionary, and the state government need to speed things up in that regard. The issue of energy is the main infrastructure, not all these flyovers nobody is using that some governors are building all over the place. The idea also of replacing what used to be NEPA, singular, with at least more than 20 different other entities in our bid to unbundle the power sector has failed us comprehensively. Now we have NERC, we have MBET, we have NELCOM, we have TCN, we have NDPHC, and at least 5 major GENCOs. But altogether, we must have about 20 GENCOs, 11 DISCOs. What is the use of this unwieldy structure if it is not serving us well in the last 2 decades? We have to ask ourselves that question. We don't need to go back to the past. That's not the idea. But there's no use continuing without some thoughtful review, including how we can integrate power companies, electric power companies, and adopt speedily renewable sources of energy such as solar. We come to productivity. Now, this is another imperative if we must truly and indeed move things in the right direction for our country. We like the vision of the president for a $1 trillion economy, and we commend him for it. Now, ramping up productivity levels is exactly how to get to a $1 trillion economy. We need to put our teeming population to work. It is about creating jobs and jobs and jobs. And there are at least 3 critical areas we can deliberately and intentionally ramp up productivity. Those are agriculture, manufacturing, and technology. And this is where we will continue with the part 2 next week, when we will also delve into human capital development as a category and also governance. That will be in the next edition. Now, these imperatives that we started talking about today are the things that must be done, because we can't continue to take poison and expect not to die. And there you have it. Inside Sources. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Inside Sources. Today we are opening our show with a discussion on important constitutional reforms in our country, especially with the developments whereby the patriots actually met the president sometimes last year, and there seems to be an agreement on how to proceed on getting for our country a new constitution. We all remember and know that the patriots is now led by Chief Emeka Anyanwu. So I'd like to welcome a member of the patriots, the team that met the president talking about the new constitution, who is our guest today. He's a professor of political science and is the Jean Monnet Professor of Strategy and Development at the Commonwealth Institute of Advanced and Professional Studies. I'd like to welcome to Inside Sources for the first time, Professor Anthony Killer. Prof, good to see you.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
Thank you. Yeah, so Prof, let's start this way. I know that you are the chair of the National Advocacy and Mobilization Committee of the Patriots, after the Patriots, led by Chief Anyanwu, had met the president to discuss the issue of a new constitution for the country. Can you tell us, Prof, what is the mandate that you got, that is the Patriots got from the president, and what is the mandate of the committee of the Patriots that you chair? Prof.
Well, I think it's the other way around. The Patriots did not get a mandate from the president. The Patriots went to see the president, and he graciously accepted to see us, and we explained to him of the need for a new constitution in Nigeria, for the need for a people's constitution. The visit to the president is both a symbolic and substantial visit, because being the #1 citizen of the country, by informing him, it is a way of informing the whole country and other parts of government. The desire, as you call it, the mandate for a new constitution, It's not a new thing for the Patriots. It's something we've been on for more than a decade now. The idea is that you must create a grand norm that reflects the aspiration of the people. And the only way to do that is to make sure the people actually participate in the formation of the Constitution. It will also help if we move away from a lie. The first three words of Nigerian Constitution said, "We the people." Since we the people never sat down to do the 99 Constitution, I think we might just help ourselves by taking away that vestige of lies in our life.
I agree with you. But before I go to the next question, can you tell us what kind of assurances that you got from the president about this very important assignment, for which I will personally, commend the members of the Patriots? Did he give you any assurance? Did he say that he was supporting it? Are you going to be working with government at some level? What is the level of engagement between the Patriots on this very important assignment and the Tinubu administration?
Well, I think the Patriots, those who know the Patriots will know the group of eminent Nigerians who do not really wait for the president to act. The president did not give assurance. The president recognized the importance of speaking to this kind of people. And, the president, this president, Tinubu, will have no reason to say no to a new constitution because he has been in the front line with us for decades for this kind of democratic battle. So, he can't say no. The most he can say is, "I'm busy right now." He thought the economic reform that was last year he was dealing with could not let him jump into the fray for the new constitution at the moment, but he recognized the importance and, he didn't come in to say, "I'm going to do this next week." But the point is, one, the Patriots were not waiting for him, and two, even after seeing him, the president the Patriots have continued to push the agenda. And that is why we have the Mobilization and Advocacy Committee that I chair that you refer to. And more importantly, the Patriots have now created a new committee chaired by Senators Benga Daniel and Aminu Waziri Tambuwa, who will actually plan for a national political summit. That summit will see the gathering of all Nigerians from various sectors of life, major stakeholders, to decide what we know what kind of constitutions we want, but we'd like to hear the voice of the people and agree on how to go about it. It is a way of bringing back the topic to the fore so that everybody can get an input in it. So to that extent, we're happy to work with all organs of government, but then I can assure you that the Patriots are not waiting for that. We are going to persuade and convince people to see the need for a new constitution, which is a people's constitution.
Yeah, Prof, you are entirely right. It's a very noble and laudable effort that the Patriots have embarked upon, and it is one that actually should attract the support of all Nigerians of goodwill. Now, I'd like to ask you one more question, and then we move to something else that I'd like you to talk about. So what should we expect? I mean, those of us who are keen on this idea of a new constitution, you did say that there's another committee on the National Political Summit that is going to be headed by Senators Tambuwa and Daniel. So what should we expect next? And then do you guys have some kind of timelines, a roadmap that we should be aware of?
Yes, we have a roadmap. In the next few days, there's going to be a date announced for a summit that is built to hold most likely in Abuja, the capital of the country. And but it will hold anywhere in Nigeria. And various stakeholders will be invited to participate in it. And thank you very much for commending us and understanding what we need to do. It will be good if through people like you that have bigger voices than us, the rest of Nigeria become aware of it. And very soon, we're going to launch a website where people can send in their inputs before the event, and indeed on that day participate during the event. At the moment, we're inviting stakeholders from all parts of the country to participate in that summit, where we all gather together to agree on the documents that we have already in the country are referred to parts of the 2014 confirmed. I refer to the old constitution. I refer to a lot of other working documents. And then for people to bring in new things, because don't forget that a lot has happened in this country since 1999. So if there are new things that people want to pick up, and I must say that it is also true that some reforms have been done by Parliament. But I argue, and this is my personal position, I argue that those reforms are not enough to change Nigeria, to set Nigeria on the safe and right course. We need to touch the fundamental document, which is the Constitution. So to your question, what people should expect is the opportunity to contribute and participate in the reshaping of Nigeria through constitutional reforms.
Excellent job. We are very expectant. I'm sure you know that there are many of us out there who are rooting for this people's constitution. You're very right, Prof. The very beginning of our constitution is a lie. There was no place that we, the people, ever gave that constitution. But hey, we take it as fait accompli, and I think this is a great opportunity for all of us to have something that knows belongs to us. Last question. You are a very notable Nigerian public intellectual. What's your take on your friend, Professor Pat Utomi's idea of a shadow government? Quickly, Prof, before I let you go.
Well, no, I won't escape that very quickly. I think it's not a bad idea, but I not only think it's not a bad idea, I actually support the idea. I think it's a good idea. Those who say the idea is odd because we run a parliamentary system and we don't have shadow government in the constitution are not getting it. The fact that it doesn't exist in other presidential systems does not mean we can do it. I think we should consider it an original idea and recognize that the reason why people are talking about the shadow cabinet is because the opposition that ought to be doing opposition is at the moment sleepy and in disarray. And quite frankly, the more ideas we can get in this country, the better. The challenge for the Utomi cabinet is to make sure it's not a talk show, that they actually come up with rigorous, alternative and reliable ideas. I do not think there's anything wrong in it. And I understand the DSS is suing Utomi. Let me appreciate them for at least going to court, not just going to pick him up. But quite frankly, they're chasing shadows. Maybe because it's a shadow cabinet. They're chasing shadows. Our problem, they're saying that they seem to be leaving cancer and chasing ringworm. What will a shadow cabinet do? Will it raise a law to tax people? Will it deploy the police? What is the government jealous of? I think the idea of people raising so much fuss about this shadow cabinet is silly, and I commend Professor Pat Utomi for having this kind of idea. And I hope the opposition will wake up so they will make his idea redundant. If they wake up and do their job, we won't need a shadow cabinet. The reason why we need it is because they're not doing their job.
Absolutely, Prof. I can't agree with you more that we have a sleepy, disorganized, and thoroughly, ill-inspired opposition. For which reason, I agree with you that at least Professor Pat Utomi gets it right that we have to fill that vacuum. Thank you so much. Please let me know whenever you are in Abuja. I need to bring you into the studio to have a full discussion on the future of Nigeria.
I promise to sit down with you. I will not be wearing your very nice clothes. I'll be wearing my outfit, but I promise to sit with you.
Thank you so much, Professor Killer, for coming to Inside Sources.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
you so much, and Inside Sources will be right back. Welcome back to Inside Sources. Today we want to continue our focus on what is happening in Benue and Plateau states. Today, I'm being joined in the discussion by a very notable Nigerian religious leader of international acclaim. He is the Bishop Emeritus of the Anglican Diocese in Makurdi. He's the chairman of the Benue Peace and Reconciliation Committee, and also a United Nations accredited mediator and peace advocate in Nigeria. I'd like to welcome to Inside Sources, Bishop Nathan Inyom. Your Lordship, you are welcome to Inside Sources, sir.
Thank you very much.
Your Lordship, I'd like to start the conversation today by asking you what is your own opinion about what is happening in Plateau and Benue State. And of course, I expect you to speak more specifically about Benue State. The governor of Plateau State said that these are genocidal killings. The former governor of Benue State, then Governor Otom, had also made a similar assertion. I'd like to ask you, Your Lordship, do you agree with these positions?
I agree with the position completely because of what is happening, what I have witnessed over the years, or the killings of innocent, peaceful citizens of both Benue and Plateau State. Like you said, I will concentrate more on Benue because I have the facts and figures, and I agree completely with what they have said.
Okay, so let's just take it off from there. Now, I saw a security update that was shared very widely, recently by a very good-hearted Reverend Father in Benue State. And in it, he said that in the Gwer West local government area of Benue State, virtually all the communities except the headquarters of that Gwer West local government has been occupied by intruders, terrorists. What's your take on that, Bishop?
Yeah, I got the document as well, and somebody who is on the ground and who has been working on this conflict over time. I agree. I also interacted with the local government chairman of Gwer local government and confirmed the facts and figures. The Gwer West local government has 17 council wards. And out of the 17 council wards, 16 and a half, that is including the community that holds the headquarters, are devastated. They are ramshacked. They are displaced. They have all left their homes, ancestral homes, and they are living in Naka, which is the headquarters of Gwer West. Even in the headquarters of Gwer West, there have been some attempts, up to 3 times, to attack the headquarters. And according to what the chairman told me yesterday, all the roads that come into Naka, which is the headquarters from Makote to Naka, is impassable because there are killings there, there are kidnapping and what have you. Then from Taraku to Naka, and from Naka to Jaw, to Ankpa, and to there are 4 roads that are leading into Naka. All of them are blocked. The people are under siege. They cannot move out. They cannot come in. So if you have to go out at all, you have to seek the security to take you out. So life is very unbearable.
Now, so I'd like to ask you, sir. So in those circumstances, which I'm sure is not a new thing, what happens to the people when they leave their communities? Is it that these intruders start to live in those communities, or they attack them and they disappear and then attack them off and on? Can you just describe to us the pattern of this aggression?
They kill the indigenous people, ramshack them, and take over their homes and their farms. Sometimes they carry the yams or guinea corn, and they cut the yams and give to their cows. So people are living in fears. Those who have escaped are staying in Naka or run away to safe places. And so Naka is completely under siege as we are talking now.
So in Benue State, sir, how prevalent is this kind of situation that we are talking about in Gwer West? How prevalent is it in Benue State?
is very prevalent. It's happening nearly everywhere. The other time, I think on the 9th of last month, the people in Sankara area, precisely in Zakibiam area, the marauders came in with guns, AK-47, took over, operated for 5 days, and killed a lot of people. And the situation is very bad. Nearly all the local governments, we have 23 local governments in Benue State, and almost 3/4 of the local government are being affected. And there's fear of movement. Even the farming communities, most of the communities, the people cannot go to their ancestral home. They cannot go to farm. It's raining now. Most of the people cannot go to their farmlands.
So the situation is quite there. How will you then describe the response of the political leaders, both at the federal and state government levels to this, ongoing recurrent crisis?
Yeah, let me say a little bit about the work I have been doing here as a bishop. I'm involved in this crisis conflict resolution over years. And the situation we are seeing now, both on the federal and state level, is very terrifying, very becoming. And I was just discussing with some of the people we are working together on peace work in Nigeria, and we are feeling, for those of us who are working in peace work, that Nigeria is paying lip service to the issue of peace. And I say, I will explain myself. In 1998, we met in Ilorin and we prepared a document for peace policy. Since 1998, before the civilians came into leadership, that document has not been passed. And it was well articulated, documented, even talking about the funding. I keep on wondering, and recently I asked one of the person, the officials of SPSP, that is Society for Peace Studies and Practice, and he shared the same view with me that most of our leaders are paying lip service because government operates by policy. There's policy for agriculture, policy for water resources, policy for everything. But why is it that they are finding it so difficult to pass a policy on peace, peace building in Nigeria? I continue to wonder until recently somebody gave me this formula that Nigeria is paying lip service to issue of peace. And it's very, very unfortunate because without peace, there cannot be any development.
Tell us more about that 1998 document that you said was agreed to in Ilorin. Who were who were the parties that agreed to it? Can you tell us more about that? What happened there?
Yeah, those of us who have been working on peace work in Nigeria, the stakeholders, the peace builders, stakeholders of Nigeria and Cresnet, we met in Ilorin. Most of the people who are hearing this, like Sami Ihijereka, these are prominent people that participated. I can't remember the name. The document is there. The names are there. I'm signatory number 21. I've been talking about this. Why is it that we are not operating that document? So it is just for the president to give consent to the document, the National Assembly to read that document, adopt it through the processes, and it will be passed. It will be very easy. It has already addressed everything concerning the conflicts that we have in Nigeria. And once the processes are followed, it will come to pass. So I don't understand what is happening, and that is why I say categorically that Nigeria is paying lip service to conflict. They know what to do. Yeah. So that is why I said the very moment that our leaders want to finish the crisis, they will finish it.
It is notable that you brought up the fact that, some of you, the leaders of, the religious community and in the community generally, can go back to as far back as 1998 to try to solve this problem. Now, I remember that General T.Y. Danjuma himself, after 1998, 1999, became the defense minister. And today, General T.Y. Danjuma has been raising the alarm. And recently, he still said that people will have to protect themselves. So I wanted to ask you, do you think that what do you think about that? Has it gotten to that point that people have to defend themselves? Have you lost, in your own case, total confidence? Do you have no hope that the government and the political leaders can solve it, so much so that people like T.Y. Danjuma are asking that people should defend themselves? Defend themselves. What's your take, sir?
Recently, I sent a comment on his platform saying that T.Y. Danjuma should be invited to explain what he is saying. He's not just talking for talking sake. He's saying it for a reason. And nobody seems to be listening to what he's saying. He's an army general. He's a veteran. He has fought the Biafran War, and he knows what he's saying. T.Y. Danjuma is a very responsible, respected individual in Nigeria. And he is saying this consistently. And that is the point I am saying, that if some set of Nigerians are allowed to carry guns, why not allow the total population to carry guns and defend themselves? I agree with T.Y. Danjuma, because if it is only one set of people that will be carrying guns to molest and kill and annihilate other citizens, I think the government should do something about it very quickly so that these killings will stop.
I agree with you, sir, and thank you so much. I agree with you, and I also agree with General T.Y. Danjuma that this is a very precarious situation. The people that are dying, they are human beings like some of us. We have taken it upon ourselves in Inside Sources here to try to humanize the story, so that leaders in governments and all of us will not lose our humanity. We don't get desensitized, to what is going on. Now, the next question I want to ask you, sir. You are an accredited United Nations peace advocate and mediator. The governor of Plateau State has described this thing as genocidal, and that is an international. It's a crime against humanity under international law. Do you think that the people of Benue and Plateau should take their case to the International Criminal Court?
Yeah. In fact, the United Nations once the conflict has extended to that level of killing up to about 2 million or so persons. It's already a humanitarian crisis. And what we are talking about here is a very serious humanitarian crisis that has affected many people, many communities. Only that in Nigeria we don't take demography very serious. If not, the statistics of people that have been killed has reached alarming stage. And the processes of taking it to the international court I don't know. I'm not a government. I don't know the processes. But if it is by figure or killing, that demands that the matter should be taken up if Nigeria cannot handle it.
Otherwise, Bishop Emeritus, what do you see as the way forward to end these senseless killings and what seems to be an intrusion and occupation of people's land by some, at times, foreigners, intruders, and all that?
Yeah, I ran into a document which was signed by FUNA recently in Gusau, Zamfara State. They even supported the killing in Sankara, that is in Zakipian area. And it was in the papers. Nobody has queried those people for the claim. And many things have happened in the past, not just within this present administration, even in the administration of Buhari. When they kill people, some set of persons will come and claim that they are behind the killing. And even the military will not talk. No one will talk. That is why I said the resilience of the conspiracy of silence. Those who should be talking and protecting lives and properties of Nigerians are not talking. They are not doing anything. So that is why we are very worried. Those of us who are making efforts to bring peace and discuss peace, we seem to be frustrated because we are not getting the desired backing. Like you mentioned rightly, I am the accredited peace mediator and advocate in Nigeria. And we are working with the UN Department of Political and Religious Affairs. And this is the 4th year we have been working. Right now, as I'm talking to you, they want to get the support of the government of Nigeria, whether any of the state. We are discussing with our governor to see the possibility of hosting the people. They will come and we have an interaction, we have a seminar, media people will be invited, political leaders will be invited, we discuss the way forward. Up till now, we have not gotten the consent of any of them. And so people are even prepared to help, but it seems that we don't want help.
I'd like to ask just one more question, and this has to do with the people that have been troubled, whose communities have been ransacked and all of that, many of them killed, they left victims. How do you assess the kind of relief? We have talked about the fact that there is no justice, but how do you assess, the kind of relief they get when they lose their homes, in IDPs? Do they get, do you, in your view, are we as a people and is our government supporting them in the relief efforts based on your experience sufficiently?
Yeah. Thank you very much. You mentioned something I forgot to say.
Please go ahead.
I was discussing with the United Nations mediation group, and they asked me one simple question. They said, Bishop, do you know UPR? I said, no, I don't know. And they were surprised that I've been working in peace cycle and I don't know UPR. UPR means Universal Periodic Review that assess the human rights, justice and human rights matters concerning a certain country. You'll be surprised that Nigeria is not a member of UPR. Last assessment was done in 2023. The review is carried every 4 years. The next one, I think, is 2027. Up till now, Nigeria has not done anything about that document. And I believe one of the things that we continue to have these injustices and human rights abuse left and right, because we are not member of the UPR. So to your point, I want to say that like in Benue State here, most of the people fend for themselves because our farming communities. We had the name Benue, the food basket of the nation. It's not for nothing. The people farm. Even if we want to give relief, most of our communities, most of our people don't like going to stay in camps. And I want to tell you that most of the members, the communities, are living in camps for more than how many years? More than 15 years now.
All right. Thank you so much, Bishop Inyam, Bishop Emeritus of the Anglican Diocese in Makurdi. Thank you for your contributions. Thank you for your service on this issue,
Thank you.
Especially in Benue State. And thank you for coming to Inside Sources.
Thank you very much.
All right. And there you have it. Inside Sources will be right back. Welcome back to Inside Sources. We're going to have a closing segment to talk about the future of people with disabilities in Nigeria. As we talk about the future of the country, it's important to recognize that we have between 30 and 35 million Nigerians who are living with disabilities. I mean, countries like Liberia is far less than 10 million. And we have 35 million Nigerians, according to the government, who are living with disabilities. What's their future? How are we bringing them into the mainstream? We have here today somebody who has been in that field for over 14 years, even though he is not a person with disabilities, but he has the passion. And I'm going to have a discussion, a quick one with him on this very important issue. So I'd like to welcome to Inside Sources Mr. Kawi Jayoba, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Corporate Inclusion, a diversity, equity, and inclusion firm. Mr. Jayoba, you're welcome to Inside Sources.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
All right, thank you. So I'd like to start by asking you, if you look at where we are in Nigeria today, how much accommodation do we have in place for people living with disabilities, generally as a society?
Okay, thank you so much. It's very pathetic that a very huge number of a particular section of the societies are being neglected, not being given an attention due to them. That's person with disability. A person with disability in Nigeria, with what you have mentioned, I think the statistic said about maybe 9% of the total population, and globally, they said about 1 billion person with disability. In Nigeria over the years, and with some of our struggle in getting the government to recognize person with disability, because I've been on the forefront of championing the issue of disability inclusion in Nigeria, and then be part of the rally and also some protests to see that the disability bill is passed. And then thanks to the former president of Nigeria, Buhari, who actually signed it into law, and then little actions.
That was in 2019.
Yeah, that was 2019. And the little action steps have been taken, but people have really gone through a lot before that is signed. And then we really appreciate that. But there's so much to be done. There's so much to be done, because when we talk about being integrated into the food system in the society, we are far from it. We are very, very far from it. Person with disability are not being integrated into the system of transportation, into the system of the infrastructural development that is ongoing everywhere in Nigeria, and then into the educational system, and many other issues that person with disability are not being integrated in society. One of the things I notice is that it's only people with disability that are clamoring for this inclusion. We are not having people without disability supporting them. There is what is called numeric power. That's number.
Yeah.
When the number of people who are calling for something is small, the attention of the government to it will be lower. They will consider that this is negligible issue. So I think that people with disability and people without disability should know that disability inclusion is everybody's business.
Now that we have the discrimination, what's the name of the bill again? Discrimination and prohibition against people with disabilities signed into law. What has to happen, especially on the part of private sector, and then the public sector. What has to happen, especially in the area of accessibility? Like we said, Thursday was the Global Awareness Day for Accessibility. What do we have to do? What are the practical things that has to happen to increase accessibility for people with disabilities to enter society effectively?
Thank you so much. I think the global world and the international community like UN, Convention of the Right of Persons with Disability, they've been a lot of work globally to make sure that persons with disability have access into every aspect of the society. Okay, that's why the Thursday 15th was set aside in the month of May to see that persons with disability have access, and then we should also audit what is going on. But when it comes to the corporate society, corporate levels and all of that, there seems to be a view that persons with disability don't need a certain level of life. There is this conspiracy, there is this belief that a person with disability, what is he doing in the bank? What are you doing here? Can't you send somebody to do the transaction for you? So there's this thinking that if you see a person with disability,
you should just sit at home. And
you should just sit at home.
Don't conduct your life.
You are not supposed to have life at all. You are supposed to send somebody, oh, you want to do something. You are not supposed to be in a hotel. Send somebody to come and do something for you. You are not supposed to be in the restaurant. Send somebody to come and buy the food.
You are supposed to just depend on somebody forever.
Just depend on somebody forever. So that's the problem the corporate organizations are facing. It's just because they have not been enlightened to that level.
There's no awareness.
There's no awareness. There's no awareness on that area. So if there is awareness as regards that, they are ready to exploit a lot of innovation because the global world is bringing in innovation, bringing in the idea to make sure that everybody are integrated into the society. But the challenge we have is that the number of the people calling for inclusion are very, very negligible. That's why Corporate Inclusion Limited said, we cannot continue to say, let people with disability who are just a few number who have voices. Because people with disability, you said about maybe 35 million or thereabout and all of that. The people that are even talking, the people that are creating the awareness among people with disability, they are far less. Okay? So it is important for us to say, let's come together. Whether you're a person with disability or you're a person without disability, can we involve the corporate organizations on accessibility?
Excellent. So two more things that I'd like us to touch. Now, the first one is that, so we see something that has become quite regular is that at major public events, you see a sign language interpreter, even in churches now, So I think that, there's some level of awareness. I don't know whether in your judgment that is being done enough. But is that the only thing that has to happen to create accessibility? What are the practical things, for people to be done, those ways? I mean, what do they call those?
The ramp?
The ramp, and, so can you tell us? And then, I lived in the US for 17 years, for instance, so I know that even when a person with disability has a car, they have special places where they can park that is close to wherever they are going. What are those things, specifically that people like you in this sector are planning to make happen? And then what specific steps do you want to take or ought to be taken to inform people both in the public and private sector to create the awareness?
When it comes to accessibility, it starts with attitude. Accessibility and inclusion start with attitude. Even though you put a ramp in a particular place, when the receptionist is telling you, we don't need a person with disability here, that place is not accessible. Even though there is a ramp there. The ramp is there.
But the attitude
is saying, don't come. The attitude is saying, you are not included here. We don't expect you to be here. There are some places you even have ramp, and they even cover it. They put some load to cover it, so that they are not expecting person with disability to come, maybe just for designing sake. They put those things there. So this is what Corporate Inclusion Limited is saying, that even when you are employing a staff, part of your onboarding package should be inclusion and accessibility training for your staff. Even if the person is not a person with disability, he should know, he should learn about disability inclusion. The banking sector, when you recruit, don't just recruit and put your staff on the counter to attend to people. Some of them have never had an encounter with person with disability. So when they see one, it's so strange to them. So the attitude is going to be very different. So from the onboarding, there should be a kind of a inclusion training, accessibility training, and all of that for everyone to be involved. And also, when we talk about inclusion generally, there are some people that are still seeing inclusion as if it's something that is only where you have person with disability. So even though you don't have a person with disability, because you go to some organization, of my experience, you go say, there are no ramp here. Say, we don't have any person with disability working here, so why should we do ramp? We say there are no sign language interpreter. He said, why should we hire a sign language interpreter? There are no person with hearing. So they are excluded. So they won't also go there because you have already said they can't come. And these are the issues we have.
Interesting. So still on that subject, let's even talk about wheelchairs. Do we have enough wheelchairs to go around, people who need it? And what is the best way to do this? Just give me your, does everybody who need a wheelchair in Nigeria have access to it?
No. That person with disability are classified as one of the poorest people globally. Then come to Nigeria, it's terrible. It's terrible. Some of them could not afford to get a wheelchair. We have a lot of issue of people that we provided wheelchair for and all of that over the years and all of that. So it's difficult for them to...
Do we have a company manufacturing wheelchairs in Nigeria?
They have companies that are assembling, and then we also have local fabrication. They are doing some of these little weather and all of that. They put some things together, but still, the global world have gone. We are talking about electronics, wheelchair. We are talking about things that will make life easy. Because
that they can't even run by themselves.
By themselves. Before you see some of them using those fabricated wheelchair. By the time they use their hand a lot, you see a lot of things, a lot of energy and all of that. So the world have moved from where we even want to start from.
But do we have those, the automatic wheelchairs? Do we have it at all in Nigeria?
No, they don't have it in Nigeria. People just order for it from outside the country.
So I mean, but there are people who are
there are people who are able to buy. They are very expensive. Running into millions.
Wow, just for one.
Just one, running into millions.
What about the regular ones that is not automatic? What about those ones? What's the range?
Yeah, the regular ones that are not automatic, you can get as low as 100,000, 200,000.
So the question is, and then we come to the last point, which is I want to talk about the stigma. Well, the question is, so what is the what is going to be the framework for funding? For instance, just wheelchairs. There are several other things, but let's talk about how will an average a person with disability that requires wheelchair, what is the system for him or her to get it?
Okay, I think this is going to be everybody's work, but nevertheless. We just have to also still push it back to the appropriate quarter, which is the government.
What about charity?
Yeah, that's where I'm going. The National Commission for Persons with Disability needs to work more on data. So that we can know how many persons are in that category.
That need it.
A
lot of what we said also has the underlining factor of the stigma, and the negative perception. What is the best way to deal with that in your own view? And then, shouldn't companies, and organizations, NGOs, businesses, shouldn't they have a policy that shouldn't they adopt a policy that, look, this is our policy regarding PWD? So 2 questions together.
Thank you. Yeah, the stigma, discrimination has affected the community of persons with disabilities so much. And then when it comes to the company, that's what Corporate Inclusion Limited is emphasizing on. Every organization should have disability policy. Like every organization have different policy. They have security policy. They have emergency policy. They have this one. They have that one, and all of that. Every organization, some organizations even have gender policy to see that women are also included, are integrated into their system. So also we should have a disability policy domiciled, integrated into each organization, taking the clue from the Disability Act, Disability Law. In Nigeria,
we say that there's no, we shouldn't discriminate.
You shouldn't discriminate.
That's the law.
Okay, so this is what is going to happen. Everybody are going to put in their best in even working for you. The reason is this. They know that if they take the risk for the organization, if anything happens to them, they will be integrated into the same organization. But if they know that person with disability are not being taken care of, everybody will want to make sure that they are safe. They want to make sure that they get themselves properly guided as well. So every corporate organization, and that's why Corporate Inclusion Limited is saying, get your own disability policy.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mr. Kawi Jayoba, the CEO of Corporate Inclusion. Thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you.
Because 30 million people is not a joke, and it's my own view that we must, all of us, Nigerians of good, we must do everything that we can to ensure that these people are also, they feel as if they belong to a country and a society. Thank you for the work you do, and thank you for coming to Inside Sources.
Thank you.
All right. There you have it, another edition of Inside Sources. Like we always say, Nigeria will prevail. Nigeria will prevail because we will not relent, and we are trusting and believing that one day we will get a big break. Thank you for watching. My name is Laolu Akonde, and by the grace of God, I'll see you at the next edition.